Hello, parishioners. Father Mark here. It is day 57 of the Bible in a year, and we're doing Numbers chapter 6 and Deuteronomy chapter 6. Numbers chapter 6 has something very interesting for me, being a priest and a celibate. And when I was young, growing up at Presentation Parish, I actually wanted to be a monk. So celibacy, deciding not to marry and to dedicate oneself to a life of sacrifice and celibacy and mortification and penance is what was done by some, it says here. And this, they say, was a way for non-priests, non-Levites among the Israelites to temporarily kind of be totally dedicated to the Lord. As Father Schmitz said, to dedicate time to the Lord. But it is possible, as he said, that a number of people in the Old Testament decided to do it for life, and possibly even choosing celibacy, but certainly a life of sacrifice and penance and self-denial, not drinking and not being fashionable, maybe not shaving, all those things. So Samson, John the Baptist, possibly James, the brother of the Lord, one of the apostles. And so these are kind of exciting things. Anyway, the Nazarites, the Nazarite vow, it was a vow. In fact, some scholars say that in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they found evidence that even women took some sort of vows. And so it possibly that even women would make a vow of celibacy, even perhaps for some time or for all of life. And our belief is that the Blessed Virgin Mary, of course, was presented in the temple when she was a child, and there is evidence that perhaps it was in order to dedicate herself, even as a child, to the Lord completely. So we have that in chapter 6 of the book of Numbers. We also have at the end of it that famous priestly benediction, the Aaronic, the benediction, the blessing of Aaron over the people. And it's a fatherly sort of blessing, they say, and it's throughout the scriptures we're going to see, and I'm going to try to point that out when we find it, and that is that oftentimes the priest, whether it was the patriarch, the head of the tribe in Genesis, or one of the patriarchs, or whether it was a Levitical priest or the priest that went into the temple, that went into the Holy of Holies and came out and blessed the people. The general pattern was that the priest would, maybe build an altar or offer a sacrifice, an animal sacrifice, and after the sacrifice would turn and bless the people with this kind of a blessing. May the Lord bless you. It starts with a B there, right? And keep you and let his face shine upon you. And it's repeating this word Lord, which we know is a replacement for the name of God. So they're being blessed with God's name, with God's blessing and God's presence almost. And so the idea that the priest would offer a sacrifice and then turn around and bless the people, of course, has been present in our liturgy, and especially in the Eastern Orthodox and the Old Latin liturgy, where the priest would offer the sacrifice and then turn around and bless the people and give communion at the end of Mass. And so this, in the Orthodox Church, they even have that iconostasis, that kind of a wall where the priest would go behind it and offer the sacrifice and then come out and through the little door and bless the people and give communion and all. But they say, and we're going to see in the Gospel of Luke, that the whole first 2 chapters of the Gospel of Luke has this very strange, especially chapter 1, story about Zechariah, who goes into the Holy of Holies, and he has this vision, and he's comes out and he's not able to speak. He's not able to give the priestly blessing. That's a very strange little story. And then he, for 9 months, has a kind of a silent retreat to think about the fact that he had doubted the angel's message. And then he finally, when John the Baptist, his son, is born, then he's able to speak again. And he speaks that prayer called the Benedictus, which starts with a B, and he's finally able to speak and to bless the people and to speak out. And it's kind of a longer version of it. But they say that in Luke's gospel, the whole point of that is that the Old Testament blessing was mute and ineffective, that the old covenant is gone, and now a new priest and a new sacrifice. And after Jesus dies on the cross and rises, and then just before he's ascending into heaven in the Gospel of Luke, it says that he raised his arms and he blessed them. What a beautiful thing. So after Jesus' sacrifice, he turns and he blesses the people. He blesses his apostles, he blesses us. And he raised his arms and blessed them. And so that's, they say, is the theme in the Gospel of Luke. As for Deuteronomy chapter 6, we have, Deuteronomy is full of a lot of laws, but it also has some very beautiful passages. And some of them, in fact, were actually, some of them were some words that Jesus actually used when he was being tempted by the devil in the desert for 40 days. And the devil tempted him, and it says that he quoted from the Old Testament. And some of the quotes are found here in verse 4 and verse 16 of the book of Deuteronomy. Answers that Jesus gave to the devil, taken straight out of the book of Deuteronomy.